We are now on the record. The time is 1:53 Pacific time.
Okay, now that we're back on the record and presumably you had an opportunity to talk to your lawyer, do you have an answer to my question as to the last time or how long it had been since you left Weimar University up until the time that the collision happened?
Can I ask for clarification on your question on whether you're referring to miles or hours from the location of which I left?
Yeah, I'm talking about time. So whether you want to use minutes or hours. My question is, how long had it been since you left Weimar University up until the time of the collision?
An estimate an hour.
Okay. And do you have the same cell phone now as you did at the time of the collision? And by that, I mean the same cell phone number.
Yes, I have the same cell phone number.
And what is the name of your cell phone carrier?
AT&T.
And what is your cell phone number?
I'm going to object on the grounds of privacy, but I'll allow her to answer.
I'm going to listen to my counsel.
Oh, and you can answer. I just want to object.
Oh, I can?
Yeah.
Okay. My phone number is 530-413-3832.
Thank you. And it's your testimony that you did not touch your cell phone from the time you left Weimar University till the time the collision happened, about 1 hour later?
Yes.
So you did not send any text messages in the roughly 1 hour before 2 p.m. on July 27, 2021?
My testimony remains the same.
Okay, and just to clarify, you did not send any text messages between roughly 1 p.m. and 2 p.m. on July 27, 2021, true?
True.
You did not make any telephone calls between 1 p.m. and 2 p.m. on July 27, 2021, true?
True.
You did not use your cell phone to browse the internet at all between 1 p.m. and 2 p.m. on July 27, 2021, true?
True.
Were you listening to any music during that drive from Weimar University up until the time this collision happened on Highway 37 near Lakeville Highway?
I don't recall.
Did you have any music applications on your phone at the time of the collision, such as Apple Music, Spotify, or any other music applications?
I do have music applications.
Okay, so at the time of the collision, did you have any music applications on your cell phone that you had with you?
I did.
And what applications are those?
Spotify.
Any others?
No.
And you don't recall whether you were using Spotify at the time or during your ride from Weimar University up until the time of the collision on July 27, 2021?
Can you repeat or rephrase the question? It's a little unclear.
Do you understand the question, Ms. Batin?
It's not a clear question. Please rephrase the question.
Were you using Spotify from the 1 hour before the collision on your cellular phone to listen to music?
I don't recall me using Spotify to listen to music at the time on that day.
Do you recall whether you were listening to music on the radio during your drive from Weimar University up until the time this collision happened?
I don't recall.
your typical practice to listen to something in the car or to drive silently?
It's my typical practice to drive silently.
Okay. The night before this collision, meaning July 26, 2021, did you have any alcohol?
No,
Did you use any drugs in the 24 hours leading up to this collision?
no,
Do you recall the time you went to sleep the night before this collision?
I don't recall the time I went to sleep.
Okay. On the day of the collision, July 27th, 2021, did you take any medications before the collision?
No,
And had you drank any alcohol before that day on July 27, 2021, when the collision happened?
no.
What was the weather like on July 27th, 2021 during your ride from Weimar University to Highway 37 near Lakeville Highway?
I don't recall the weather.
Okay. So you don't know if it was raining or if it was a clear day?
I don't recall the weather climate on that day.
Can you rule out whether it was raining?
I don't recall whether it was raining.
Okay. Were you wearing shoes at the time of the collision?
Yes,
Did you have any food or drink with you in the car?
no,
Were you wearing sunglasses?
no,
And were you traveling to Willits, California?
yes,
Do you know the posted speed limit on Highway 37 near where the collision happened, which was roughly 1,000 feet east of Lakeville Highway?
I don't recall the posted speed limit.
Okay, do you recall generally how fast you were driving in the 10 to 20 minutes leading up to the collision?
I don't recall.
Okay. Now, do you deny that you caused this collision?
Objection, instruct the witness not to answer, not calculated to lead to the discovery of admissible evidence. It's up to the jury to decide who's at fault.
Okay. Do you deny that the front of your vehicle made contact with the rear of my client's vehicle?
Oh, sorry, you can answer.
Can you repeat the question?
Do you deny that the front of your vehicle made contact with the rear of my client's vehicle?
I don't deny.
Based on your observations, did anything that you saw my client's vehicle do contribute to the cause of this collision?
And I'll just object that it calls for expert opinion and assumes facts not in evidence. You can answer if you can, if you understand the question.
I don't understand the question.
Okay, I'll ask it in a different way. Was there anything about my client's vehicle slowing to a stop that in your mind makes you believe that my client's vehicle contributed to causing your vehicle to strike the rear of it?
And I'll just object to the extent it calls for expert opinion testimony, but you can answer. If you feel like you can.
I'm not going to answer.
You're refusing to answer that question?
Do you just not understand the question, or? It somewhat assumes facts not in evidence that she saw your client's vehicle do anything before the impact. As you know, so that's the bottom line. That's why she can't answer the question.
Were you able to see my client's vehicle before you struck the rear of it?
No, My contact went up into my eye and my vision was impaired.
When did your contact lens go up into your eye? How long before the collision had your contact lens gone up into your eye, impairing your vision?
Are you qualifying that in minutes before or?
Minutes, seconds? How long in measurement of time did your contact lens go up in your eye, obstructing your vision before the impact with my client's vehicle?
Minutes to seconds?
Can you give me your best estimate as to how many minutes or seconds before the collision you first noticed that your contact lens went up into your eye such that it created an inability to see?
And this is where you don't speculate, but if you have actually have a memory in your head as to how much time passed, then please provide a response. But if you're just guessing or assuming how much time might have passed, then you shouldn't answer the question.
I would be assuming how much time would have passed, so I'm unable to provide that answer for you. I would be
So-
guessing.
So you told me it was seconds to minutes. Was it 5 minutes before the collision or less?
I'm unable to provide an answer because I don't recall the exact inaccurate enough estimate for you.
Okay, but you were there when this happened, correct?
Objection, argumentative.
Was it more than 2 minutes before the collision happened that you first noticed a problem with your contact lens?
I would be providing a guess, and so I don't feel comfortable providing an answer for you.
Okay, but you did tell me it was between seconds to minutes.
Yes, but I'm unable to give you an accurate value of a number to reflect that.
Okay. When you first noticed that your contact lens went up into your eye, which eye was it?
My right eye.
Were you still able to see from your left eye?
No,
And can you explain to me why a contact lens in your right eye would prevent your left eye from being able to see and perceive what's in front of you?
my eyes were watering.
When your eyes began watering, did you slow down?
Yes,
Did you attempt to pull over when your eyes started watering and you had a contact lens in your right eye?
I don't recall.
Did you ever see my client's vehicle before the collision?
Yes,
When did you first see my client's vehicle before the collision?
while I was driving in the lane.
Okay, thank you. I asked you when you first saw my client's vehicle before the collision. Was it a minute before the collision, 5 minutes before the collision?
I can't give you an exact value number to reflect that.
Okay, but you told me previously that you were unable to see my client's vehicle because a contact lens went into your right eye and your left eye was watering.
Can you clarify me seeing your client's vehicle, like seeing in general or seeing right before the accident?
At any time before the collision, did you see my client's vehicle?
Can I take a break?
You know, I had asked you to respond to my question before you take a break because I don't want your lawyer instructing you how to answer. If you could give me an answer to this question, I would appreciate it
Or you can
before
tell
you
him you
take your
don't,
break.
or you can tell him you don't understand the question. That's why you want to speak with me.
I don't understand the question, so I want to speak to my counsel.
Well, I could ask the question in a more simple way. At any time before the collision, did you see my client's vehicle?
I still don't understand your question.
And John, I think, I mean, she's indicated you, she's, I mean, was she driving behind, did she see it when she was driving behind it? Yes, but your initial question, she
Wait, hold
interpreted.
on, Ms. Flynn, I don't want you testifying for her.
Well, I'm telling you why your question's unclear, so you can
No,
make.
no, no, no. Please don't make any speaking objections because you're instructing your client how to answer on the record.
I'm repeating what she said, John. She's
No,
like.
she hasn't told me that she's seen my client's vehicle. Did you
She-
see my client's vehicle at any point before this collision with
John,
your eyes?
She told you she didn't know if you were talking about right before the collision or prior to the collision, like if she was following your vehicle. I mean, it's a completely understandable why the question's unclear.
At any time, at any point in time before the collision, had you seen my client's vehicle with your two eyes?
I still don't understand whether you're qualifying me seeing with my two eyes of your client's vehicle, just driving behind your client's vehicle, or upon me making contact with your client's vehicle.
Okay. Driving behind my client's vehicle, did you see her vehicle at any point before the collision?
Driving behind your client's vehicle, yes, I did see your client's vehicle.
And when was it that you saw my client's vehicle before the collision?
I don't really understand your question.
Did you visually observe my client's vehicle within the 1 minute before the time of impact?
No,
Did you see my client's vehicle within the 30 seconds before the impact?
no,
Did you see my client's vehicle within the 10 seconds before the impact?
no,
Did you see my client's vehicle within the 5 seconds before the impact?
no,
Did you see my client's vehicle within the 4 seconds before the impact?
no,
Did you see my client's vehicle within the 3 seconds before the impact?
no,
Did you see my client's vehicle within the 2 seconds before the impact?
no,
Did you see my client's vehicle within the 1 second before the impact?
no,
Did you see my client's vehicle within the half second before the impact?
no,
Did you see my client's vehicle within the 10th of a second before the impact?
no,
Did you see my client's vehicle within the 100th second before the impact?
no.
Did you see my client's vehicle within the 1,000th of a second before the impact?
I'm having trouble understanding. Is this still in reference to before me making contact with your client's vehicle?
Yes, it is. I'm asking you 1 second before making my client's
Then
contact with my client's vehicle. Did you see my client's vehicle?
no,
Okay. 1/2 of a second before making contact with my client's vehicle. Did
I
you
did-
see my client's vehicle?
I did not see your client's vehicle any time before making contact with your client's vehicle.
Thank you. At the time of the impact, what is your best estimate as to your speed of travel?
I am not able to provide an estimate to my speed of travel because I would be guessing.
Before, did you make any attempt to brake before making impact with my client's vehicle?
I do recall making an attempt to brake.
Yet you could not see the vehicle in front of you when you were attempting to brake? Is that your testimony?
Yes, that is my testimony.
Do you have an estimate as to how fast my client's vehicle was traveling at the time of impact?
I cannot give an estimate to your client's speed of travel.
So you don't know whether she was going 0 miles per hour or 5 miles per hour, true?
She was driving, the vehicle was moving, but I cannot give a value of a speed for her.
What do you base your testimony that her vehicle was moving on?
On the fact that we were driving on the freeway on 37.
Yet you didn't see her vehicle, true?
I'll just object to the extent it misstates the witness's testimony. She's testified that she didn't see the vehicle immediately prior to the collision, but that she was driving behind the vehicle.
Okay. Do you recall passing a vehicle prior to making contact with my client's vehicle? And let me clarify, do you recall passing a vehicle in the number 2 lane prior to striking the rear of my client's vehicle?
No, I do not recall.
How far were you from my client's vehicle when you started to brake?
I don't recall.
How much time passed from the time you started to brake to the time you made impact with my client's vehicle?
I cannot give an estimate for that because I would be guessing.
Did your car travel forward after the impact with the rear of my client's vehicle?
I do not recall.
Do you recall where the vehicles wound up following the collision?
I do not recall.
In your own words, can you describe what happened in the collision?
Are you clarifying that this is after the collision?
No, in the 1 minute leading up to the collision, to the time the collision happened, to the 10 seconds after the collision. Can you, in your own words, describe what happened during that time period?
In my own words, I would just. My vision was impaired by my contact lens as previously stated. And then the next thing I knew, I had made contact with your client's vehicle.
Do you recall making a statement to the police officers that arrived to investigate the collision?
I do not recall.
Okay, can you see my screen here?
I can see your screen.
Okay. Do you deny telling responding officers that you were in the number 1 lane at approximately 80 miles per hour before the collision?
I deny.
You deny stating that to the officer?
I don't recall speaking to an officer.
Okay, I want to show you what's been marked as Exhibit 1, the traffic collision report. And on page 8 of 9, there's a statement attributed to you. I'm going to read it to you and ask you if it refreshes your recollection as to what you told the officer following the collision. Party number 1, Batin, related the following. She was driving her car westbound on SR 37 east of Lakeville Highway in the number 1 lane at approximately 80 miles per hour. She yawned and her eyes watered. She saw cars stopping ahead when she cleared her eyes. She tried to step on the brakes, but she could not stop in time, and she hit the back of the other car. Does that refresh your recollection as to what you told the officer following the collision?
And
I
I'll
do-
just object to the extent it assumes facts not in evidence that she told the officer that. You can answer.
I do not recall speaking to an officer or relaying this information.
And me reading that statement doesn't refresh your recollection.
You reading that statement does not refresh any recollection.
Do you deny driving 80 miles per hour before this impact happened?
I deny driving at that speed.
Did you have any conversations with a witness,
I do-
Patrick, at the scene of the collision?
I deny having any conversation with a witness.
Okay. Have you ever seen the police report before today?
No, I haven't seen the police report.
Okay. Do you deny passing a car in the number 1 lane at a high rate of speed before the impact?
I don't recall passing any car.
Okay. Are you aware that the speed limit on Highway 37 was 65 miles per hour?
I don't recall the posted speed.
When your contact lens went into your right eye such that you couldn't see, is there any reason why you didn't pull over to fix your contact lens instead of continuing to drive when you can't see?
Can you rephrase your question more simply?
Yeah. So my understanding is your contact lens went up into your eye and you couldn't see out of your right eye and your left eye was watery and that impaired your vision. True?
True.
And you continued to drive at highway speed on Highway 37. True?
Objection assumes facts not in evidence.
Did you pull over when your vision became obstructed by the contact lens?
You can tell him what your reaction was when your eyes started to water and the contact lens went up in your eye. What did you do?
You can answer my question. Can we read back the question, please? Please don't modify my question, counsel.
Did you pull over when your vision became obstructed by the contact lens?
I don't recall.
You made contact with my client's vehicle after your contact lens obstructed your vision. True?
True.
So isn't it true that instead of pulling over to the side of the road to fix your contact lens, you continued driving when you weren't able to see properly?
Objection assumes facts not in evidence that she didn't react in some different way, such as braking.
That's not my question, counsel. Please don't make speaking objections. Can you read back my question, please?
Isn't it true that instead of pulling over to the side of the road to fix your contact lens, you continued driving when you weren't able to see properly?
Can you answer that question the way it's phrased?
No. I cannot answer that question in the way it's phrased.
Or are you refusing to answer that question the way it's phrased?
It's. You told her if you didn't understand your question, she could ask you to repeat it or rephrase it. And she's told you the question is unclear to her. It's also unclear to me.
Did you pull up once your vision became obstructed by your contact lens? Did you attempt to pull over to the side of the road?
I don't recall.
You have no recollection of trying to pull over to the side of the road, even though your vision was compromised by your contact lens.
I'll just object argumentative. You can answer the question.
I don't recall.
You have no recollection of attempting to pull over to the side of the road once your vision had been obstructed by your contact lens, true?
True. I don't have recollection.
Okay, do you recall filling out questions with your counsel regarding how this accident happened?
I don't recall.
Okay, I'd like to introduce as Exhibit 2, Defendant Batin's responses to form interrogatories, Set 2.
So that's what he means by questions. What we,
May I grab a jacket?
sure.
I'm freezing.
Can we just take a 5-minute break so she can grab a jacket?
I'm really
Sure.
Okay. Break. We are now off the record. The time is 2:26 Pacific time.